Welcome to Friday Night Show. Hafeman, bro, and Rick tonight. Glad Rick is here. He had some flaming hot takes,
Woo.
and they were good ones. And then the Rick magic took over. He's actually officially a member of the family because what he did was he called some people out, and then they had the best game of their lives.
Pretty
So
much.
that's all we need. We
Did
need
they
to.
though?
We
Did they
what
though?
that I'm telling you right
Well,
now. I went back and
be-
looked more and more and more, and I was like, wow, he actually did play much better than I even realized.
best game of the last 3 seasons.
Yeah. Best game since he signed his fat contract for one and only Kenny Clark, who needs to dominate the line of scrimmage. And he kind of did at times, at least against single blocks. He did pretty good.
You know who else did?
Yeah.
Tyler Lancaster.
Oh, but he didn't have all the big money and the number one pick and all that stuff with him.
I
so.
understand that, but Tyler Lancaster did all the same things that Kenny Clark did in this game with way less reps.
Yeah, he only had
So
17 snaps.
what does that tell you? Kenny Clark had 62 freaking snaps. And
The
Larry
cost per
McCarron,
snap, it's about the
Larry
same.
McCarron did a big Kenny Clark video.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody's seen it. He had 4 plays on there. And the first one was Kenny Clark whipping up on the center and getting past him. And then the next words were, well, and he didn't make the tackle. Okay. Well, the very next play was Kenny Clark whipping up on the center, and he got to the backfield. And the next words were, well, he didn't make the tackle. He didn't make the tackle. Well, then what's the point of showing it?
Oh, Ben, come on now. You're asking. Hey, look. First of all,
So he schooled the guy that Lancaster schooled, and when Lancaster schooled the guy, Lancaster made the tackle. But Lancaster is an undrafted guy who everybody wants out of town.
That's true.
And Kenny Clark is a first round pick that got the big money. So you tell me who's better? Big money can't tackle. Undrafted does the same thing and tackles on 1/3 of the freaking plays.
Come on. Hey, look. Aaron Nagler was like, whoa, Kenny, he had a game. He was, whoa, man.
Yeah, blah, blah.
But he's been singing the Kenny Clark song for a long time. Ben's drinking straight out of the bottle tonight. But Ben, here, now, we have to like, not lower our expectations. We have to set our expectations appropriately. We went from Kenny Clark getting pushed back 3 to 4 yards every snap to at least Kenny Clark getting in the backfield and making some disruption. I know he couldn't make the tackle on a number of plays where he did that, but that's improvement. That's something. And that
I know
you can thank one guy who will speak now. You can thank him because without him, Kenny Clark wouldn't have done jack squat. Right, Rick?
Yeah. Thank you, Jason, and you're welcome, Kenny, as I drink my beer out of a Packer glass. All right. So, Kenny Clark's been hammered on this show more than once.
Yes.
And I don't want to turn it into a Kenny Clark hate fest because I don't hate Kenny Clark.
Nice guy.
Last year I was willing to cut him some slack, playing some nagging injuries, whatever. And he did have some pretty impressive plays in this game. I mean, he was blowing up that center. Maybe the center sucks. I don't know anything about him.
Supposed to be good.
Supposed to be a Pro Bowler. That's what they said. Pro Bowl center.
Veteran,
Yeah.
6-7 year veteran, whatever.
So this is, I think, to my point. So initially I'm like, okay, great. I was going to call out Kenny Clark and say what I'm going to be getting into, and then he plays this awesome game. It's like, oh, crap. But I think it makes my point, right? How many times have you heard people go on and on and on about how great Kenny Clark is, right? He can just dominate. The Packers need to get help. They need to get Kenny Clark some help. They need to get him some help. They're wasting him. And that's the part that really grinds my gears, if you will. All right. Now, defensive tackle. I know this is a team game, but I think arguably defensive tackle is maybe the one, if the most, if not the one position where it really doesn't matter what else is going on. You are in the middle of every play. And Okay, worst case, if you're a dominant defensive tackle, defensive lineman, you get double teamed. Great. That's leaving somebody else unblocked or ensuring that everybody else is one-on-one, right? Look at a guy like Aaron Donald. Okay. Is Kenny Clark double teamed on every play, every game? No. And that's where I feel like, okay, if he was getting double teamed and still playing effectively with this double team, okay, then say, yeah, you need to get Kenny Clark some help. But Kenny Clark needs to show up. If he's as good as everyone is saying he is, if he's really deserving this contract he's got, he needs to be drawing a double team every time and still be effective, not get pushed back 5 yards like we see most of the time, like we saw in week 2, like we saw in week 1. I want to see him blow up that center. I want to see him blow up the guard. I want to see him stand his ground against double team and make the people around him better, right? If you got a dominant defensive lineman, that should make the other guys next to him better. And to say he doesn't have help, they need to get him help. Who are the bookends on either side of that defensive line, right? I know technically they're, oh yeah, there he is. Technically they're outside linebackers, but Zadarius Smith, when was the last time he really covered somebody? Never. Okay, so you got these two top-notch edge rushers, plus a top-notch defensive interior lineman, Kenny Clark. It shouldn't matter who the other 2 or 3 guys are. Right? How many offensive linemen are there in most people's schemes? Maybe not Jason's ultimate 4-guard lineup, but for the most part, you got 5 offensive linemen, right? So if you got a guy like Kenny Clark, top-notch defensive tackle who should be drawing a double team, okay, that leaves 3 guys, right? Okay, now you got Z and Preston. Each of them should be drawing somebody, unless the team is really going to trust a tight end or a running back to take care of those guys. So how many guys does that leave to take care of Lancaster or Kiki or whoever else is lined up, right? You're getting one-on-one blocks with everybody else. So, yeah, they need defensive help. They need help on the defensive line. But before you say, oh, Kenny Clark's getting wasted, they need to get him help, he needs to step up and take care of business first. So that said, he played a lot better this week. We'll see if he can keep it up or if this is just going to be one of these things that propagates this. Right. And where did this notion of he's dominant, he's a top flight, top-notch tackle come from? Right. He had some good games, had a decent season, got his extension, and hasn't done much since. So the problem is people see a game like this, you see the highlights, you see him stand at center up and just run him back, which, really, I think that was a big part of the defensive success. The Gruffalo was not having any time to throw the ball back there. They were getting in his face. They were getting him out of his groove. If they do it more consistently, the defense is going to look a lot better. That secondary is going to look a lot better. They need to do that more often. But those are the highlights they're going to see, right? That's what people are going to see. They're going to think, Kenny Clark, look at the way he dominated the 49ers offensive line. They're one of the top tier teams in the league. Not convinced of that this year. So he can suck for the next 14 weeks. And most people aren't going to remember it. They're just going to listen to the sound bites and listen to the people go on and on and on about how good he is. And that gets into the main point of my rant, which is I think there's too much complacency, with the players, with the coaches, with the front office, with the fans. Like, why do we put up with it? Why do we tolerate this? Like, as fans, you see a guy have 3 or 4 good plays in a game, or one if you're a top-notch edge rusher like Z. That's enough, right? You get 1 play a game, and that's supposed to be enough? Come on. No, that's not how this should go. What about some of these old school guys, like John Randall, even though he played for the Vikings, but the guy had a motor going all the time, right? Some of these guys would just go. Where is that? They need more people like that. So, as fans, people just eat this up. It's like, oh yeah, Zadarius, he's awesome. And he could be. If we get the Zadarius back from 2 years ago, that would be great. I don't know if it's going to happen. How can you? and if fans are confused by this, what about the team when the guy's basically calling himself a captain? What is that doing to the locker room? Right? Like, who are these young guys supposed to be following? The real captains or the guy who thinks he's a captain? And I think the team is really struggling for identity, as a whole, but just especially these young guys in the locker room. Who do they look for? Who do they look to for leadership? And so I think that's kind of a load of BS. But even the team itself, right? So the defense has been terrible, right? Pettin gets flamed for it. Defense sucks. But how many times on this show, and I'm sure other people have commented on it as well, but have you pointed out the shortcomings in just technique, right? How many times have you pointed out guys that are just both sides of the ball, just standing up, getting blown off the line? Guys that are leaving a 7-10 yard cushion, whatever, in short yardage situations, right? These are coaching problems, skill coaching problems. So the defense sucks. So what do? You bring in hotshot defensive coordinator to fix these problems and don't let him bring in his own guys. So he's supposed to work magic with the positional coaches that haven't been getting it done. Okay, that doesn't make sense to me, especially when you see the same problems the first 2 weeks of the season, and even some aspects of that this past week.
Now,
You're
Rick,
seeing the same problems.
they're
Yes,
saying
Jason.
they're saying the Packers are a top 10 defense right now. Top 10.
They must not be able to count very high.
Somebody said that somewhere, and I was like, Well, I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll let you finish. I'm sorry.
No, we could. So, I think that's where some of the front office, the complacency with the front office concerns me. And I know they're running a business. That's what professional sports is, right? It is a business. But to me, I just really get the impression that this is like running a company, right? Like they've had a good product, they've had a good run, they've done pretty well, but they're afraid to make big changes because, it might put them over the top, but what if it screws things up and they alienate their fans, or they, this is working. They've got a winning record, they make the playoffs, almost make the Super Bowl. Like, let's not mess it up too much, And I feel like that's just, it's getting stale. The team's not evolving, they're not adapting. You're not bringing in new people, and it's the same problems. And to this point, talent has carried them a long way. But I feel like overall the talent level is not where it was a few years ago. You don't have the Claymaker on defense carrying the linebackers. But the defensive line is not what it was a few years ago. Secondary, okay, admittedly Stokes looked a little better than I expected, but there were plenty of opportunities that could have gone the other way too if he, hadn't recovered in time to get a hand in the right place or a little bit better throw. Some of those nice breakups could have been a score.
Listen, instead of signing Casey Hayward, we signed Kevin King back. We're not as smart as the Raiders, who signed Casey Hayward, who's now dominating with the Raiders. Packers are dumb. Raiders are smart. Raiders are 3-0. Packers are 2-1.
That's where this all comes back to now. See, because Rick's got his team, his AFC team, his heart team. Like he's like a 60-40, right? So Packers are his other team, but his Raiders team, he's got to compare to that standard. And he's seeing with the Raiders. The Raiders are crazy as hell. The Raiders are like, we're hiring a coach for freaking 10 years and giving $100 million to a dude who hasn't coached football for like a decade.
Because he was good 10 years ago.
And we're going crazy because what we've been doing forever hasn't worked out. And look what the hell is going on. It's like, what? And we're going to be smart. We're going to sign some guys. We're going to sign some free agents. We're going to pick up guys as we need them. We're going to trade away one of our big dog players to get a bunch of stuff back and let the Bears have him. And he'll get blocked by Billy Turner for crying out loud. Because, yeah, he's awesome. But when he doesn't try hard, or if he's only one guy on the outside of a defense, he can't impact the game like interior guys can. So let's get better in the middle. Let's do what we can. Let's blow it up. Let's shake him up and let's Grudy him for $100 million. And look at this stuff. It's working out, Rick.
Yeah. And, they've made plenty of bad decisions over the years. Um, and I understand where the Packers are coming from, where you also don't, they're on a good course, right? You don't want to completely upend things until you have to. But I feel like they're almost getting to that point where, unless they start to see things really turning around on the defensive line, start seeing things turning around in the secondary, even the offensive line, they're going to be in trouble, right? They get these guys that they hang on to because they're pretty good. Yeah, Chucky. So they get these guys that are pretty good. Like if it wasn't for the rash of injuries hitting the offensive line, do you really think we would have seen Yash Nyman play this year? Probably not. And did he look awesome? No. Did he look better than pretty much everyone thought he was going to? Yeah, I think so. I think he held his own, all things considered, given the situation he was put into. But even if he should maybe be getting a start over Billy Turner, he's not going to get the start over Billy Turner anytime. So how long are they going to hang on to him and never let him see the field again? It's like they just are afraid of making waves or changing too many things at once, and it's going to hurt him. I mean, their offensive line generally has, yeah, they've had depth, they've had this versatility, but at some point you start to run out of solid options there.
All right.
So,
Rick, you make many, many fair points. And people have been chatting here, and Bernard, Double Doinks in the house, and saying some good stuff now. And they echo what you're saying. They get it. We've seen it. We understand it. And the reason why, again, then Bernard comes out and says, guys, just be happy sometimes. I know the Packers just won. They had this crazy awesome win. And we were excited about it. And we are. But we also understand that what's happened to the Packers, especially in recent years, but many, many years since 2010, is that, yeah, they get close or they get our hopes up and then they get beat. And, when they play the big boys or when they play a big team in the playoffs, they get knocked out. And we're tired of it. We don't want to see it again. We want to see a freaking championship. And so if these things aren't addressed or they don't get better, or these problems still exist, like, yeah, against certain competition, you'll look great. And then when you get to play the big dogs, you'll get beat. And we're just tired of it. And the Packers have made a lot of decisions, put a lot of money into certain guys. Those guys then need to lead the way if this team's going to win. They need to be factors. They need to have big impact on the game. So what we saw out of Kenny Clark, we need to see that every game. And we also need to see him make some of those tackles in the backfield. Now, Eric, I'm sorry, Ben, but I got to say this because it popped in my head like forever ago. Eric Zarius Smith now is having back surgery or something to that effect, or that's what I've heard. Double Doink says, is he out for the season? We don't know. But so we don't even know if he's going to be back. But we have a number 12 pick who Ben and I came around on a lot last year. We're like, hey, Gary's showing some signs. He's looking better. Well, where's he been? I mean, he needs to make an impact. He's getting the majority of the snaps now with Z out. He's got to show up. And I don't see it enough. Anyway, I don't see it enough.
it looked like they had rotated Preston over to the other side. And one thing I didn't pay attention to throughout the entire game was he doing the Preston role of dropping back into coverage more, or was he straight up pass rushing the majority of the time?
He was rushing a lot. And he got there sometimes in the second half. Okay. But dude's, super high recruit, number 12 pick, crazy athlete, like beat a fat tackle or whatever. Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
So the Niners tackles are pretty decent. So we'll cut him a little slack, but I agree. He needs to show up.
He's got to be great. He's a number 12 pick. He's got to be a dominant force. We hear all about it all the time. Well, it's year 3 and you're getting to play. Let's freaking go. Look, here's the big concern. watch. And as Packers fans, you should watch this. Watch other teams. Now, we see how quickly the other teams can get off the Packers blocks in a pass rush. Like they're rushing the passer. They quickly get around the Packers guys, and they're got pressure on Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers has to throw within 2.5 seconds, or he could get destroyed. Now, then we watch the opposite, and we're like, why can't our guys do that same thing? Why isn't it the other quarterback has 2.5 seconds and he's got to get rid of the ball? It's just right there. Right there's your big difference. Like you see the Packers guys not be able to hold a block for very long in most cases. And then on the opposite side, you see the Packers guys getting blocked for a very long time in most cases. That's a problem. That's a problem. Why is that good offensive line play where we talk about, oh, the offensive line played great when almost every play, at least one guy, sometimes two guys, can't block their guy for more than a second and a half or 2 seconds. But on the other side, and that's good offensive line play. That's I have a problem. Apparently, I have to lower my expectations for what good offensive line play is. But then I watch the Packers rush, and I'm like, why can't they get around the guys fast? I don't get it. And I got a problem with it.
I think that's what the difference was in the first half, where they were getting the push up the middle, and it wasn't giving Garoppolo time to just sit in the pocket. Even if they weren't getting to him, it was enough to mess up his passing lanes, get him moving around a little bit. And I think that was a big difference for the first few drives, certainly. Right. And that's what they need. They need pressure from everywhere because you're not going to get it up the middle every game. So, yeah, I agree. They do need to get pressure on the quarterback. It is a pass-heavy league. And clearly they're not that great against the run. So, you got to be good at something.
And they played the run well. They talked about, there's some different info out there. Because I was curious. I'm like, what did they do? Watching the game live, I couldn't follow it all and figure out what they were doing to slow down the 49ers run. And obviously the big lead helped as well. But the 49ers, when they did try to run, they had a lot of plays kind of blown up. It wasn't that effective a lot of times. So they did some things, edge setting. They had a good plan for not letting them get to the outside. That was all good. And then, they actually had a linebacker who kind of flowed to the ball, Devondre Campbell, who I'm really coming around on. I'm like, okay, this guy, I'm not saying he's the greatest linebacker ever, but he's pretty good for linebackers we've had in the middle. So we'll take him.
Yeah. Well, I think they're getting too off track. Another thing I'd mentioned.
I thought we were already off track a couple of times, but okay, go.
Well, no, I think talking about the linebackers, that's another good point. I mean, Campbell looks good. Overall scope of the league as a whole, is he great? Maybe not, but he looks good on this team. And that I think is part of the problem with the personnel decisions is, especially when there's a weak group on the team, a guy that looks pretty good or might even be a standout on the team, how does he compare to the rest of the league? And I think that's where you get things like re-signing King. And like I was texting with you guys last week, wouldn't surprise me if Barnes gets re-signed or gets an extension, right? Because he looks pretty good. He's been a solid player. Would he be a solid player on anywhere else? I mean, yeah, I'm sure he'd be somewhere, but being solid on a team where their linebacking core is paper thin, is that really the best you're going to do? Maybe. I mean, maybe he'll turn it on. Maybe paired up with Campbell, he'll be a different player. And he's been solid. I'll give him that. But is it good enough that they should lock him up for 3 or 4 years? I don't think so. But those are the kinds of things that I think you see happen, especially these weaker positions. They get someone that they're comfortable with who's been a good team player. Let's lock him up. And okay, so they're either stuck with him for 3 or 4 years, or they cut him and end up losing a bunch of money in the deal. I think that is something that needs to be addressed, and I think that goes pretty far up the food chain in the organization. Right? I mean, just seem to have this weird hierarchy of everybody's only involved in their particular thing. So, obviously, player input into personnel decisions is frowned upon in the team. So, you bring in a coach, he can't bring in his own guys. So, who's pulling the strings on some of this stuff? That might be part of what needs to change if they want to reboot the defense.
Mark
Sorry.
Murphy's in charge of all things. And I'm gonna go to Ben here in a second. All right. So sorry guys. I'm awake now, so that's helpful.
I was
But
gonna say you perked up.
Rick had some hot ones and we had to get him out of the way here. And that's the thing is though, I'm telling you, it's not that we're trying to be negative, although it probably sounds like it at this point. But we have Title Town. We want Title Town to be Title Town again. We have championship expectations. And we got to see some of the stuff be better. Starts with the lines, both offense and defense, for this team to get there. So Ben, what do you say to Bernard? He says, guys, just be happy sometimes.
Well, I just listened to 25 minutes of bitching and moaning
Yeah.
from Rick and you. And my question to you is, what can we do with this team right now? They can't change anything. They've got no cap space. These are the guys we have. So how can we produce? How can we become better? What can we do with this particular team? And what's going on with this particular team? Because we can't change the players at this point. We can't change the GM at this point. We can't change the coach. Well, we could change the coaches, actually, but they won't do that. But that's what they should do. But what are we going to do? Because complaining about that guy sucking ain't going to do us any good. There's nothing behind him that are any good. So what are we going to do?
Address some of the basics, especially on the line play. I don't know if it needs to come from higher up. Like, again, get LaFleur, like what they were saying a couple of weeks ago with the Lions, making the adjustments at halftime to be more aggressive, whatever. Get on some of these positional coaches to make some changes with the guys they have, techniques, how they're playing the ball, how they're reading. Again, I think without Z in there, what we'll see is hopefully the ends do a little bit better end containment instead of taking themselves out of the play on the pass rush. Maybe keep themselves in a better position against the running game. I think there are a lot of small things they can do that are pretty basic and fundamental that can make a pretty big impact on the end product. And some of it's scheming. I think, again, Pettin took a lot of flack last year for the defense, but now seeing some of those same problems makes me wonder if it's not at a lower level. Is it some of the positional coaches that are just letting players do their thing? Like, these guys are pros, just, let Z be Z, let Kenny Clark do his thing, whatever. Or just bad coaching, like, telling these guys to sit back and read instead of, attacking their gaps. So I think they can do things. I think they have players that can be good. Some of these players have shown that they are good. But, like with Martinez playing soft and saying his job was basically to clean up what the other guys were doing, that's a bad system, right? And if some of those same things are still happening now, it doesn't matter who you put in there, it's going to be the same problems. If you got your linebacker cleaning up the run plays, the running back's going to be getting 3 yards on every play by the time he gets to the linebacker to clean it up. So I think they don't need to completely reboot to be effective. I think some of the guys they have can play effectively, and I think they've shown it. But I think they need to consistently, they need to adapt. You can't go into the same game plan against every team. Pittsburgh's looking pretty stinky so far. Looking pretty stinky so far this year. But I think if they go in with their guard down, Pittsburgh could catch them off guard. But I think it's a good opportunity for them to show up and show us, like, hey, this wasn't an anomaly. We played a good game against the 49ers. We should be able to go in and just basically shut down the Steelers before it even becomes a game, especially without TJ playing. Slinger is like 107 and can't do anything. Right? I mean, the Steelers are not the same team they've been for the last decade. Right? If the Packers come out and lay an egg against them, I think it really is something to be concerned about.
No egg laying, Rick. Stop. Now.
No, they shouldn't be laying an egg. They should be coming out hot, and they should do this. And I think, Pittsburgh's offense is good enough that we're going to see, okay, is this defense for real or not? And hopefully they can make some of these adjustments. So
the Steelers offense has struggled a bit, but they certainly have capable. But I'd bring some heat on Roethlisberger. I would attack him because why not? And sit back and let him dump it off to the back and give him checkdowns all day. But bring some pressure on him, make him move around. He can't move around, and he can't shake dudes off like he used to, and all that stuff. But I think
this is
well,
a key
go on.
game for the defensive line.
Yeah.
Okay. To do their thing. Kenny Clark is a very slow player, but there's one quarterback in the NFL he could actually catch, and his name is Ben Roethlisberger. Therefore, Kenny Clark needs to have a game. What they should do, the other thing that was really good against the 49ers that you guys aren't talking about, you did mention it for a second, is the fact that they held up on the outside. They played the run well. They weren't just going to the quarterback in every single play and leaving giant holes. And the thing that was cool was Kenny Clark and Tyler Lancaster a couple times, who when they beat the center and got inside. In Lancaster's case, he actually did, tackle the guy. And then for Kenny's case, of course, he didn't tackle the guy, but he forced it to the outside. And there was Preston and Gary and even Eric Stokes holding the fort and pushing the linebacker or run back, couldn't get to the outside all the way. They didn't allow a big giant hole because they weren't trying to beat their one-on-one matchup with the offensive lineman. They held their gap and then, got off the tackle or got off their blocker and, made a hole, stopped the running back, blah, blah, blah. That's the kind of stuff we need. Don't be like, especially against the Steelers. Don't worry about Ben Roethlisberger running the ball. And I don't know if you guys watched his throwing. He can't even hit guys. Like, it's bad. It looks like Drew Brees out there. It's so bad.
I heard it's
worse
bad.
than
He's
Drew
throwing
Brees.
balls into the dirt. He's like, it's just weird looking. So
That's what
play
we need.
the run. Play the run first. Play man coverage on the wide receivers. Half the receivers can't catch anyways. They got a lot of drops from two of their guys. And then there's Claypool, who's actually good. So cover Claypool, somebody who's good. But Claypool's really big and tall. So I don't know if Jair can handle him. It might have to be Stokes or, God forbid, Kenny King. But I don't know who's going to be. But it's interesting. And a lot of people are saying, like Double Doink saying, hey, Steelers are throwing the ball 73% of the time. Yes, they are throwing the ball 73% of the time. But 73% out of the 73% are passes to the running back. There's 19 targets to the running back last week for the Steelers. I mean, good God. All you got to do is be smart and hold your own and get in there and make some plays, but be smart about it. I mean, this Steelers offense is not good at all.
Yeah, they've been rough.
And the defense apparently couldn't get any pressure at all last week on the quarterback. So without TJ, now they're saying TJ is going to play. Well, okay. But he's a little hurt, right? So he might not be the same. Might not be the same guy as he normally is.
Could tweak that groin early, first quarter. Ooh, that groin hurts again. Oh.
I just think, hey,
that could happen.
I saw improvements with the defense over the last 3 weeks. So as much grumping as you guys are doing, and I grump too. But listen,
Ben's our positive force.
I want to see some Hafeman. I want to see a little more Slayton. I want to see young guys get in there and just be fresh. There's one play that was awesome where it was like Tyler Lancaster got inside and it was like Rivers and freaking Garvin on the outside. And I don't remember who was all in on that play, but when you watched it, you watch it from behind the quarterback. It was like 3 or 4 guys got in the backfield and just destroyed the running back on a play. And it was all like backup guys. But they were fresh coming in on like third down or second down or whatever it was. And they played great. And it's like sometimes you need to rotate dudes, like get them out of there. I mean, we're not going up against Aaron Rodgers, who's going to catch you with 12 guys on the field. Ben Roethlisberger can barely even look past the, look for guys. He's not going to be doing that crap. Get some clean, switch out your freaking D-line, get your guys rested, get them in there so they can go crazy against the other team, and let's be smart about it. If the other team gets a first down, immediately rotate. I don't even care. Get Kenny Clark out, get Dean Lowry out, get the backups in for 1 or 2 plays or whatever it is, and let the other guys come in. And just see what they got. This is our week to get experience. I don't think the Steelers offense is good enough for us to be worried. I think it's a good chance for us to play our young guys give him some experience against all retooled offensive interior line for the Steelers, which is a mess. And heck, I think their whole offensive line is new this year. It's just weird. So our defense this week should look good, should look really good. And there should be even more improvement from last week, obviously. So I don't know, but it can only help going up against, like a lot of times, like Jason's, like you always hear like Larry McCarron, these guys say that sacks come in bunches.
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't. They come against, you're going against a crappy guy.
Exactly.
That's why they come. And guess what? The Steelers got a lot of crappy guys. So hopefully we're going to get some sacks. Gary's going to get off his 0.5 sacks, and Preston's going to get off his 1 sack. And maybe these guys will get some sacks because they're going up against crappy dudes. I don't know.
Okay, let me say this about I wanna give Rick credit because he had to carry the show in the beginning because I wasn't even awake, and Ben was drinking beer and said he had nothing to say. So we went straight for Rick's power of his rant. But the thing is that we've already saw him. All he did was send that in a text last week, and look how good Clark played. Now he came out and said it on this show for hundreds of people to see. So just imagine how great,
if even not even hundreds. Just because we got a couple views that are after the game show doesn't mean people don't watch this one. We only get like 35
after the game show. That's right, after the game show.
Yeah, and boy, am I glad! Aren't you glad I told you we got to go live? We actually got over 200 views on that.
Yeah, we got some views. Although a lot said we went too long. It doesn't have to be so long.
Well, we did go too long,
which is fine. That's because it was late at night. I was
that's the Hafeman way. We always go too long.
Yeah, always too long. But anyway, the point here is, I think so. Rick, credit for carrying the show in the beginning. So don't get mad at Rick for being negative early on. He had to get the beefs out, and he's all beef, and he had to carry the show. Number 2,
I got one thing for Rick, real quick.
Okay, all right.
I picked up Derek Carr for my fantasy football team, so Raiders are going to lose.
Damn it,
probably.
Ben! Don't do that. Don't do that. Now, the one other point. Now, Rick made a great point, which is about the position coaches, and we're going to see it now because we clearly all saw it. We clearly all saw in our minds and in our faces and in the world and on the TV and wherever that Eric Stokes is substantially better than Kenny King and Kevin King. So if Kevin King is healthy and he's back in there as a starter, come on. No. So these coaches, the position coaches, which apparently decide who plays and who doesn't play, like, we're going to see it right now. And they can make a difference by making the right choices. And also on the defensive line, like Ben said, and pass rushers, rotate those dudes, keep them fresh. If you go back in the history of the Packers defense, when they have had better defenses and better success, they had good defensive line rotations. Every team knows that. We don't have stud guys that you want out there all the time who are just going to dominate the whole game. So let's cycle them through, keep guys at as fresh as they can be. And, those offensive linemen don't get to sub out. So bring your fresh defensive guys in and let's get them. Get after those guys. Let's do it.
Get some of those young guys that are hungry.
Yeah.
Right? Get some of these guys that want to play for playing time because they know it's going to mean money down the road. Get some of these guys that want to play hard when they are in there and not looking for the one big play and then hang it up. Right. I think that could go a long way too. If you got some of these guys that aren't used to playing a whole game and all of a sudden they're the starter, they're going to be fading or maybe trying to leave something in the tank for the third quarter. I mean, that's not what you want to do. Go in, let them go all out for a series, a drive, whatever, rotate them out and, let them give what they got, then give them a break when they need it. But I agree. That's how you're going to find people that want to play hard, that are going to play hard. Hopefully get something done.
I wouldn't mind offensive line rotation either. Let's get LP in there a couple plays once in a while, see what he can do. Maybe give Royce a little break and bring in Patrick at right guard and have the rotating guards. Remember how you could run plays? You don't even need the headset. You can run plays in with your guards. Give your guard the offensive play and have him run on the field. Tell the quarterback what it is, man.
That's effective. We've seen that firsthand. So.
We used to do that. I think, in high school at one point. We had like rotating guards at times.
Freshman year, and I think we had 13 people on the team. and we had extra linemen. So yeah, I would rotate in with Jimmy Andrade, run plays in every other play. So rotating guards.
So remember, your linemen are some of the smartest players on your team. That's for sure. One thing I will say, Rick, I'm going to push back on you a little bit of one thing you said. I don't think you gave Yash enough credit. I'm saying Yash at right guard, as soon as Bakhtiari's back, Yash should be starting at right guard. He's that good.
Guard?
Or right tackle, I'm sorry. He's that good. He's that good.
I would gladly have him starting over Billy Turner right now, but that's not going to happen as long as Billy Turner is under contract with the Packers.
No.
He's going to be right tackle.
We're going back to the position coaches. The position coaches saw it. It's all on film. Everybody saw it. Did he have a couple of rough plays early on against Bosa? Yeah. But you know what he did a whole bunch of other times? He got some chip help. Sure. Great. And Rodgers talked about that, how the Packers completely changed their philosophy from other times they played stud defensive lines where they didn't help the tackles at all and they got their butts whipped. Maybe it could have done that in the NFC Championship game last year. Maybe chipped and help out your tackles.
Yeah, no freaking kidding.
but they finally learned the lesson and were like, hey, let's chip the tackle or chip the guys here on the ends this time. And it worked out great. And then the tackles got going. And Yash was awesome. He was super good.
I don't know if he was awesome, but he was pretty good.
He sustained blocks. You know what? Okay, even plays where he sort of got beat, he stuck with it. He stuck with it and kept engaged with his guy. You know how many offensive linemen you see get beat and then, they just let the guy go? He did not. He stayed after the guy and kept pursuing him, kept trying to keep contact with him. That's what I want. I don't expect a guy to dominate every play, but if you can block and continue to try to stay engaged with the guy you're supposed to be blocking, you give your running back a chance, you give your quarterback a chance, you give everybody a chance. If you get beat and just throw your hands up in the air and turn around and stand around like a dumbass and look at him go get your quarterback or the running back, that doesn't do any good at all. But if you stay with them and maybe try to ride them further to the outside, your quarterback maybe can step up. Or maybe your running back gives a little shimmy or a little juke and then gets past them and then gets a bunch of yards. So I want guys who stay engaged with their blocks, and Yashi stays engaged with his blocks. And we know that Bakhtiari always stays engaged because he just holds guys and hangs on to them forever. As Mo says, the best holder in the NFL. So I want Yash, right tackle. Show me, Adam Stenovich, that you understand and you're bold enough and you're good enough and smart enough to say, this guy's better than this guy. I don't care who the vet is. I don't care who gets paid more money. This guy's right tackle as soon as Bakhtiari's back. That's what I want to see.
Never going to happen.
Dumb.
Never going to happen.
Don't tell me that, because there's still plenty of room for improvement. And part of the room for improvement on the offensive line is the right guys at the right positions. Now, John Runyon, playing good at left guard. Now, does he have a little ups and downs? Sure. But he's doing good. So let him grow. Let him learn there. I like the way he plays. He's doing pretty darn good. Myers is coming along. Royce Newman, I'm still a little sketchy on, but he ends up being in double team blocks a lot. So it's helpful to him when he's at a double team block. Speaking of, Ben, might as well spin off of that and throw it to you. Hey, did you happen to see that the Packers decided to change their offensive blocking quite a bit in this last game? And it worked out pretty darn good. What did they do?
It wasn't that good.
It was better than the zone play where they just stick their arms out and run around like this and don't block people.
Yeah, but there are still a lot of plays that didn't work. So
I don't care.
The Packers are actually in the bottom 5 in rushing this year.
Effective running.
5. That's really bad. I mean, really, 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 really bad. They're not good run blockers. They need the double team just to actually give Aaron Jones somewhere to go and AJ Dillon somewhere to go. The other thing is I'm getting sick of the shotgun AJ Dillon runs. Can we stop it, please? It's not good for him. Give Rodgers under center and give AJ Dillon the ball out of the I formation or out of single back sets with Aaron Rodgers under center. Okay. No more of this crap where he's in the backfield. It's dumb. Nobody's falling for it. He doesn't run as good in it. Aaron Jones is fine, but that's it. AJ Dillon's not so good. And Aaron Jones might be hurt. We don't know if he's playing. I don't know what's going on with that. It's questionable. MVS is questionable. I mean,
He'll be all
that's
right.
two really important guys to the team that might not be playing on offense, which is kind of scary, but who knows?
Hey, they're gonna don't come down. Stay up.
It might be
gonna-
good
I'm
week
fine.
for
I'm
it,
just
though.
saying. I don't think the offensive line is doing great in run blocking. Okay,
That's true.
Aaron Jones is squeezing through tiny little holes.
But he's good at that.
He finally got over 4 yards of carry there, and it wasn't because the blocking was good. They don't have any, and everybody's talking about how they don't have any explosive runs this year in 3 games, where last year they had, a couple. But when most of the defenses are playing that 2 zone back safeties, and your offensive line is still having a problem making Aaron Jones have holes, when he does have to squeeze through, there's 2 safeties here and here ready, whichever way he goes, to come up and make it to tackle. So it's not like I don't know how it's going to be pretty hard for him to get big explosive runs against the 2 high safety look.
But they should be.
I don't know if that's going to keep him down or what, but
they should be able to rip off some good chunks, though, like, some 7-8 yarders pretty regularly if the offensive line can do what it's supposed to do. So the thing is, too, now you talk about the shotgun, and I'm just going to put this out there as possible reason. Maybe maybe Matt LaFleur is smart enough to understand that, yes, in the middle, especially, we're a little sketchy on the offensive line. And so having Rodgers back in the shotgun gives him a little more time. So he doesn't have to be backpedaling under center if he's got to throw. So that might the concern or the newness and the rawness, we'll call it, unrefinedness of the 3 guys in the middle in particular might be part of the reason why they're doing more shotgun and less under center, because they're worried about quick penetration and guys getting beat quick right away in the middle, because that blows up the play and they're dead.
I think it wouldn't surprise me if Rodgers has concerns about getting stepped on too.
Right.
Just the risk of injuries. That's something that he seems to be concerned about in recent years. And I could see new guys in the middle, offensive line getting bumped around, more of a concern. But yeah, I think you're right. I really suspect a big part of it is just the better view from back in the shotgun. He gets the ball, he's already in a position to start looking, throwing, reading, whatever. He's not moving back. There's not so much traffic congestion, especially if a center gets blown up or something.
Okay, that's great. But what about when it's 4th and 1? Or how about this? 4th and goal from the 1. How about if we, don't do a stupid shotgun play,
With an
on
empty
4th and goal
backfield.
from the 1. It wasn't empty backfield, but it was a stupid play where the ball almost hit whoever it was, Lazard or
Cobb
or whatever, running across, and then the play all got screwed up, and all of a sudden, it's 4th and 1. Get in the freaking shot, or get in the freaking under the center, get AJ Dillon back there, run his butt as hard as he can, and plow over dudes and get the freaking touchdown. We drafted this guy for a reason. Why don't we use him that way? I mean, that's the thing that bothers me. Just run the freaking guy up the gut. Even if the guys don't block, he'll at least plow through some dudes and do something. I mean, come on. And Rodgers don't need to be looking at the freaking, whatever, and out of the shotgun when you only got to get 1 freaking yard. Get under center, hand the ball to AJ Dillon when he's got some momentum, and you will score. It isn't hard to figure out. Even I, who's a moron, know that.
So what about what about doing what teams have used against the Packers effectively?
Ooh.
And bring in another short yardage quarterback? So bring in Love on these 4th and 1s where Rodgers isn't going to be diving. He's not going to be taking a sneak. He's not going to option. He's not going to run a bootleg. Bring in Love, right? At least even if the other team we know he might not want to throw it, but the other team doesn't know that. But then he should be able to hand the ball off without fumbling it. And if you don't have enough confidence in him to do that, then they've made a really big mistake they need to fix.
They're not doing that. But I thought where you're going was you're going Kenny Clark, fullback, like lead blocker.
Oh, the bridge.
That's where I thought you were going for those.
You got to rest him if he's gonna get his 62 snaps on defense. You got to rest him.
You know what? I know a guy maybe right here who would be happy to come in as a lead blocker, fullback for some short yardage. Did you see?
He might need to if he's not playing guard.
Let's make a couple of observations here, a couple of shout outs. LP was like, I saw him on the sideline. He had his helmet on the whole time. Because he's like, he wants to play so bad. He wants to come in. So give him something. Throw the guy a bone. Put him in as short yardage lead blocker. All these other teams do it. What the hell is wrong with that? He knows how to block people. He knows how to run up a hole and plow ahead. He can do that. Dylan, go right off his butt. You can get a yard, no problem. Number 2, let's give a shout out to Alan Lazard. All right. Caught a first pass right away and then didn't get jack, but he kept playing. And I noticed that all of a sudden he was in on special teams. I was like, what the heck? I thought he didn't play special teams anymore. Well, after they gave a big kick return, Lazard went to the coach and was like, dude, put me in on special teams because I don't want to see that happening again. And he wasn't on special teams and he stayed in his lane and he helped out. So credit to him. One other thing.
Still missed blocks on Devontae screens.
I understand.
Twice.
I get it.
But Devontae still made 3 guys miss to get like a first down on one of those. And I was like,
there you
wow,
go.
I don't know how he did that.
Because he got
Lazard didn't block anybody.
He's
got the
studying Lamar Jackson. He knows
got the juice.
He's got Lamar Jackson moves now.
You got those Madden 99 shoes, so he's ready to go. Last one, if you had not seen it, you really should go to the Packers stuff. Larry McCarron did some good like little shorts this week, some breakdowns. The first one was Robert Tonyan. Robert Tonyan kicked the crap out of Nick Bosa by himself. Knocked him on the ground a number of times. I'll tell you what, I didn't go back and watch Nick Bosa the whole game, but if I was a 49ers fan and that's my stud defensive end and guy who's supposed to be one of the top guys in the league and all this sort of crap and dominate the game, and he's got his leg gyrating all the time because he's so charged up, getting his ass knocked over by Robert Tonyan, who wasn't even a blocking guy. That's your guy. And side note on that, since I'm on it, because I went back and sometimes I'll watch like the press conferences of the other teams and see what those guys said about the game. Nick Bosa, the worst press conference I've ever seen in my entire life. The most boring, it's just horrible. Go and watch it. If that guy was on my team, I don't care how good he was. I want him off the team or he should never speak to the media. It was awful. Awful. Like he doesn't even care or it doesn't even seem like he cares. So got his ass kicked by Robert Tonyan, knocked on the ground a bunch of times, got handled by a first-time player, guy who never started or played in his life in a game, who's undrafted and sucks at press conferences. Nick Bosa, overrated. Nick Bosa. There's my hot one.
Whoa. I wonder if your ability at the press conference is going to be another Madden stat for next year.
I think it's important. It's important.
No, it's not. You're an idiot.
It is. I'm loving Rodgers' press conferences this year too. It's awesome.
Not.
I love it. It's great.
Diva Baby City.
No, it's fantastic. He just says, he just answers the questions and says what's on his mind. You know, another guy that's good at press conferences is this. Most of the Packers guys actually are pretty darn good at them. Now, we got some guys. We got Julian. Julian's better with the sunglasses on, sunglasses off. Not that good. But we do have guys like Billy Turner, great at press conferences. I give him he's a notch up as an offensive tackle because he's better at press conferences. Billy Turner on the field, not very good. But you add in the press conference element, he's better. He's almost average tackle because he's better at the press conferences. Am I on to something? Probably not. But Billy Turner gives good press conferences. Lots of Packers do. Nick Bosa, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. Go back and watch it. It's so boring. It's so horrible. And he doesn't care. He just lost a big tough game, and he's just like, yeah. He's like Bill Belichick, but 100 times worse than Bill Belichick. It's free. It's ridiculous, dude. Go watch it. Not right now, because you're watching this a little bit longer. Oh, okay. So I know people are talking about the Steelers. Double Doink saying that Savage, he's hoping Savage gets his first pick of the year, which would be good. I don't know. Some of these offensive guys, it doesn't matter. Like if MBS can't play, Packers should still win. If Jones can't play, Packers should still win. I don't care. The Steelers have been stinky. If TJ is banged up and his groin hurts, double team him until he goes out with a hurt groin, and you're good. Like the Steelers are not that good. I don't know how they won 11 games in a row last year with undefeated. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how a guy's so much worse this year than he was last year, although admittedly I didn't watch Ben Roethlisberger play last year. But apparently all reports are they're just awful. Really, really bad. So the Packers better, and it's a home game. They better take care of business. I don't care who's not in there. Do what you got to do. Use your players to the best of their ability, and let's go.
Well, this is the Milwaukee
Milwaukee fans? Okay, all right.
game. So
those fans should be pretty happy. The Brewers just, clinched the division last week. Let's go, Milwaukee fans. Stay fired up.
Yeah. So that's something. I don't know. This game it's such a weird week. I like after that last week where I got so fired up because it's like the 49ers and you just were like, let's go. And now it's like, what's this Lukey Patrick? Anyways.
It's something to get you fired up.
And this week, the Steelers, it's like, they're not any good. So.
New fullback. Get him in there.
I don't know.
That's what I'm concerned about is that we'll see the overconfidence again coming in and just thinking it's going to be easy and then find themselves down and it's losing that composure, forcing things that they don't need to force. I don't want a repeat of, even the first half of the Lions game where they're playing down to the competition. And maybe the Lions aren't as terrible as, as people think they are.
They're not.
But on the flip side, maybe the Niners aren't as good as people think they are either.
They're not.
I was surprised. I heard over and over about the 49ers dominant running game. Kyle Shanahan, the smartest coach in the world, blah, blah, blah. They're so physical, and generally they are. But I was amazed, impressed, and surprised at the Packers' physicality in that game. And I did not expect it. So if they can play with that much effort and physicality, even if you lose sometimes, even if you get beat sometimes, that's okay. But if you're going to play with that much force, then they can compete with anybody. It's when they play all passive, that's when they just get, knocked out. Now, I was really disappointed by the last drive, how it was only passes from Garoppolo and they couldn't stop him and just marched him down the field. And I was like, come on, you're going to let this guy beat you and win the game? Come on. Now, they made some great plays. Deebo Samuel made some crazy catch with Jair, like right in his grill and all that stuff. Okay, fantastic. Kittle's a monster. But that part's disappointing. We
got lucky that Amos, didn't go hard on Juszczyk.
Well, no, it was Black. Henry Black made first contact.
Both of them. Yeah. Amos.
Yeah, 41.
No.
Amos supposed to clean it up? Okay.
No, Amos was the first guy.
Oh, that's right. He was in coverage. Yeah. Initially, yeah.
Black was at the he was back further and still couldn't stop him. Neither of those guys could stop him. But it's a good thing they didn't, or else he would have had no time.
Yeah.
I mean, we would have lost. So sometimes it's good to have guys who suck.
And people were talking about that too. Now, I noticed it that night. I noticed it going back and watching the highlights again. And I didn't say anything because our post-game show was already done. But I did notice it before all the other people on Monday pointed out that Garoppolo snapped it with 12 seconds on the play clock on that last play. And I'm
So,
like, well, it is important. It is important
why? It was
because,
first down.
and they talked about, getting out of the flow or being in the flow. And I'm like, I don't care about the flow. You need to run the clock down, man. You need to run the clock down and have as little time left for the Packers as possible because, Aaron Rodgers pulls some crap out of his butt, man. Make some crazy throws that nobody should make. Nobody.
That was first down.
I understand.
I don't think anybody thought Juszczyk was going to catch that at the 8-yard line and get to the end zone on that play. Garoppolo didn't think it. Nobody else thought it. That's why they snapped it with 12 seconds, because they thought, okay, we'll just throw this here. We'll get a couple yards, waste a little more time, get a couple yards, then score a touchdown and win it. They didn't think he was going to go in the end zone right away. It's this 12 seconds on the play clock thing. That don't matter, dude.
All right, we'll move forward. Anyway, there's some good stuff in that. We got some good comments here. Sorry, we've been going on about some of this other stuff. Double Doink wants to see more Tunyon. Yes, more Tunyon for sure.
Then you got to have less Devontae, everybody. Is that what you want? Less Devontae?
Yes.
I know that's what I want. I'm talking about these other guys in the
come
chat.
on. Devontae had 56% of the targets
in
the last game. That's way too many.
It's freaking ridiculous.
Way too many.
It's ridiculous.
Yep. And you know what? I don't care if MVS isn't in there, I'll throw the ball to Malik Taylor. He's going to win. He's going to get open sometimes. He'll be just fine. And more Tunyon attacking for sure. Let's see. Mom also wants more Tunyon as well. And hey, Lee is here. How you doing, Lee? Double Doink says Lions have a good chance of beating the Bears. Well, they do. And the Bears are trash still. Look, guys, the Packers are a good team in a terrible division. So are they going to win the division? Most likely. So that means they're in the playoffs. What kind of seeding they're going to get, whatever. My position on that. I still think they're better to not play in Green Bay in January because it's so stinking cold. I think they're better to go on the road and play. But Eckes, battled me all last year on that, saying we've got to have home field. I think this team's better. I think they can rally better. I think they can focus better. I think a bunch of these guys who grew up in California and Florida and these warm climates can play better when it's not negative 30 degrees or whatever, wind chill or whatever the heck it is. I think all of that. So I want to see it make the playoffs as 4 seed, whatever it is. I don't care. 3 seed, fine, but not the 1 seed. Get one home playoff game, get that out of the way, go on the road, win some games, make the Super Bowl.
Dude, it's week 4.
I know, but I'm just saying they're going to win. They're probably going to win.
What are we talking about playoffs? Playoffs?
Because
you're talking playoffs?
Because the Lions could beat the Bears, and they could. And yes, the Vikings won last week in a weird game, but the Vikings are there. You believe the Vikings are really good? Probably not.
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, well, say it.
They didn't have Dalvin Cook, and they destroyed it. The freaking Seahawks.
Yeah, but they had time to throw, didn't they?
Yes, Kirk Cousins was freaking on fire.
He had time to throw.
Not on fire. On fire.
What happens when Kirk Cousins doesn't get time to throw?
He got time.
Okay.
What happens when Aaron Rodgers doesn't get time to throw? Same thing.
Well, yeah, sort of.
Well, not as bad.
Yeah, he can at least buy a little time. Kirk Cousins curls up in a ball and
listen. I might have to redo my top 10 quarterbacks list.
Blasphemy!
And get some Kirk Cousins on there.
See, Double Doink wants Super Bowl. He's in here. Super Bowl.
This might be time for some tangential breaking news. So
do it. What do you got?
In the Hafeman Bros Poo Fantasy Football. I think it's Josh, the Agents of Chaos, wanted to trade me Kirk Cousins. And I was mulling it over at first, like, no, I can't take Kirk Cousins. I got Derek Carr. But then when Ben picked him up, that cursed him. So I was thinking about it, and then I just got a notification saying that he canceled the trade offer. So maybe Kirk Cousins is back on the market. but
Wow.
I couldn't do it. I can't give up on Carr, which leaves me with Stinky Mayfield, but I just don't have faith in Captain Kirk. So maybe I'll be wrong. That would have sealed it if I picked him up. That would have been the end.
You have
But,
Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield as your quarterbacks.
yeah,
Those
That's
are
why
my
I'm 0-3.
quarterbacks in the other league.
that's why I'm 0-3 probably.
Well, I'm 2-1 in that league because I started freaking Fields last week like a ding dong who gave me -3 points because he got sacked 9 times. Ay. How can you get sacked 9 times? What are you
Typical typical Rick fantasy football luck though. So far I've had the most points scored against me in the league. So
And now, look, you're getting a dangerous team this week, a hungry team that needs to win. Oh, and a guy playing the Packers defense, and this guy, if he plays, I hope so.
He drops a lot of passes.
Well, I don't know. He might be okay this week. We'll see how it goes.
You got a
Let's
bunch
take a
of
look at
jerks
this.
on your team.
I was not picking this team for people I liked. I was picking this team for players I thought would score points.
My team is awesome. Actually, it's not. It sucks. But I got a great quarterback.
yeah, my team sucks too.
Oh, you got Eckes this week? Turtlehead. Now,
I'm
Rick,
taking him out.
Agents of Chaos is 0, so you gotta watch out. He might be trying to pull
0.
a fast one on you. Josh is
Hop around.
hop around.
Eckes doesn't even have a starting defensive player.
And he's still favored to beat you.
Yeah.
Terrible. Classic. Well, that's what we got this week. Ben's playing Turtleheads, otherwise known as Eckes, who doesn't even care because this is his 25th fantasy football league, number 25 on the list. And Rick, who came back to fantasy just for Hafeman Bros league,
Picking up where I left off.
for the first time after almost a 10-year hiatus.
Hey, go to Mom's team.
1-3.
Last week she didn't even start. She started a guy who was out. So we gotta get her to see what the heck's going on here.
Oh, Mom said that Dad accidentally dropped Jamal Williams from her team. She wants him back. So I got to figure out how to fix that. Now, Mom clearly has the best safety, one of the best defensive players playing for her, Micah Hyde, who had a pick last week, was good. Although,
Yeah, but is
hop
TJ Watt
around,
playing or what?
well, he's going to play, but we'll see how long he lasts with that groin. Now, Myles Garrett, we know, blew up last week with 4.5 sacks. Jeez Louise.
Mom, you should cut TJ Watt, pick up Devondre Campbell, and start him.
Ooh, yeah, he's had lots of tackles. Lots and lots.
Lots of tackles.
Mama's going to knock you out, trying to get off the schneid. Rick trying to get his first win against me. We'll see how it goes. Ben trying to beat Turtleheads.
I'm not trying. It's happening.
Zero's got a tough matchup this week. And then Nico somehow is still, I don't even know if he pays attention to this league.
He
but
don't pay attention.
He's still doing great.
He's
God
got
damn
Justin Herbert.
Nico
No, I
every
do.
time.
I got Justin Herbert. Forget it.
Every time. All right, back to
#1 quarterback in the NFL.
the end here. Let's see. Oh, hey, there's Lee. Did we discuss starting
Lee,
O-line
you don't need
this
to watch
week?
this. Oh yeah, we did.
We went off for a while. Lee. Rick had to jumpstart the show with kind of some negative takes, some hard takes on wanting to win a championship. When it wasn't necessarily negative, it's just critical,
It's
wanting to win.
painfully honest.
That's true. That's where you get here. And so you can watch it, and you should. And then we talked a little bit about the O-line, not a lot. We did say that I like Yashi. I want him to be the right tackle once Bakhtiari's back. And I also want him to be, he clearly should be playing left tackle, even when Jenkins comes back, and shove Jenkins inside and actually move Runyon over to right guard and get freaking Royce Newman the hell out of there and put Jenkins back at left guard. And
put Lukey Patrick at center.
Well, probably, but I'm still going for fullback here in short yardage, and I'd be okay with that.
Oh, Lukey Patrick gets fullback.
If he got fullback short yardage, I'd be okay with it. At least he gets on the field. The guy didn't take his helmet off the whole game. Like, yeah, he got to come in on kick, like field goals and stuff like that, and probably punt. But that's it.
This has been a weird episode.
Maybe he got a bad haircut. He was trying to hide it.
Yeah,
I just trimmed up today, actually.
Not you, Lukey.
Oh.
All right, so what are we doing? What's the score going to be? We're going to do this
Score
game here.
predictions for this terrible Steelers team coming into Lambeau Field. Our guest, Rick, will start us off. What do you think, Rick? Who's going to win this game? What's the score?
Packers 31. Crappy Steelers 13.
Put them in the chat if you got a score prediction. Packers, Steelers.
Wow.
Packers at home, 3. Ooh, double doink says 31-24 Packers. 31-24. Is Roethlisberger play the whole game, or do they sub him out? Does he fake an injury?
When Kenny and
he
TJ
is hurt. He's apparently hurt.
smacking.
He's always hurt or always pretending to be hurt. Like, that guy is so annoying. If he was my quarterback, I would have left my team a long time ago. Double doing thinks Rodgers going to have 4 touchdowns and 300 yards and 0 picks. Maybe. We'll see. As long as TJ Watt isn't causing problems, that could happen. Oh, did one quick thing before I get my score prediction. Did anybody happen to check Aaron Rodgers' midweek press conference where they asked about TJ Watt? He was going on and on about TJ Watt's a game wrecker. He's a dominant player, one of the top players in the league. He didn't say a player we could have drafted instead of Kevin King, but I really wanted him to say that. That would have been awesome. But anyway, he did not say that. I'll say it for you. A player we could have drafted and should have drafted instead of Kevin King could be on our team causing all that havoc and playing awesome, but he's not. So we got Kevin King. Oh, we got Eric Stokes, who's looking okay. Butter's here. Butter laying in the weeds. Says Packers 37-20. Lee says Steelers turn it on late, but come up short 30-20. I'm going to say Packers 35, Steelers 16. Put it in the books. Roethlisberger drives him down late for a fourth quarter field goal to get 16. Ben?
31-10, Packers win.
Anybody else? We have no naysayers this week. Nobody doubting the Packers. We'll see what happens. I don't like it.
You only had one last week. It was Balaz.
I know. He really didn't feel it. He really thought the 49ers are going to be too tough. Maybe he watched too much Chris Sims leading up to the game. 49ers, so good, so tough. We'll see. Anyway, Packers looked I was impressed by the physicality last week. Let's keep that going. Physical play on the lines, push hard, stay with your guy, give Aaron Jones some room, Aaron Rodgers some time, and you can do some stuff. And no more Devontae Adams, 56% of the targets. Come on. That's ridiculous. I know he's good and all. He made some great plays, but come on, get the other guys involved. That's way too much of one player. Rick, did Raiders, before we go, did the Raiders ever have a player like that where they threw it to him? Well, they had Tim Brown. Did they throw to Tim Brown like 8 million times a game?
Oh, well, they should have thrown to him more because who else do they have? Like Jet, Ishmael, like guys that couldn't catch. So they probably should have thrown to Tim Brown more often than they did. But I don't think they ever had the Tim ratio or anything quite like that.
Smart. Mom says Packers win too. Mom's buying in. Holy cow. Usually Mom's nervous and can't even watch. Mom, I want to see you watch the whole game this week then, or at least listen to it or something. All right, everybody stay well, be good. We made it for a Friday. We'll try to be better next time. But Rick, good takes, hard takes.
Rick was the only guy who brought it tonight.
Rick brought it. Ben and I were here. Present, at least. We'll be better. Take care of yourselves. Be good. Go Pack, go as always. And Lucas Patrick for fullback, short yardage fullback. This shoulder coming into people. 62 running you down. That's what I want to see.